presence is water.
I need your presence.
Your presence is water. This song's dedicated
To everyone.
Everyone who made it.
Yeah.
Any test or trial.
Hopeless situation.
Hopeless situation. Now you have a story.
The angels can't sing.
Angels can't sing in glory.
You're redeemed.
You're redeemed from the hand of the enemy.
Yeah. Here we go.
Whether it's in the courtroom, fighting in the ballroom, trying to feed your family, kicked out underneath you.
To the party and she walked by with her sisters and I was like, wow. So I was like, wow, okay. But I never mentioned it to my friends because I didn't know anything about her then. And I'm this type of person that likes to play safe rather than just jumping at everything I see. So I like to take my time and observe and ask questions. So I asked Aki a whole lot of questions. I asked one of my friends, Fabudi, you all know.
Yeah, Fabudi.
I asked him multiple questions. And I think you guys know Fality as well. Ruth Fality. Yes. I would ask Fality multiple questions and several questions. And sometimes Joyce, I indirectly asked Joyce, you know Joyce, Kingsley's sister. Yeah, I asked her questions indirectly, but she didn't know what I was talking about. So, in 2012, I was at my friend's house. You know, after asking Aki multiple questions again, and this is since 2009. So I would ask Aki questions, and what is this girl like? Is she in a relationship, or what's going on? I asked Ruth the same question as well, and she said, I can find out for you. And she found out a couple of things for me, and I said, well, I really like this lady, and I like to get to know her. And she one of those holy, or how great of a Christian is she? But before I started asking all those questions, you know, I was praying behind closed doors. Yeah. And I prayed for about 4 years. Wow. And I decided to stay single for 4 years. Because then I was, you know, working.
Can you give?
Yes. Yeah. Don't record it. You know, I prayed for 4 years, and the way I usually know that God answers my prayers is just by seeing, you know, by results. Results. That's the way I know. It's my cross. I have to carry it.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the phone now. So, you know, I prayed multiple times, and there was a lady that I met in 2011. She was about 3 years older than me.
What? 3 years older than him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew nothing about her, so it was just discussing her name. When I told her that, you know, she was 3 years older than me, and she found out, she was like, oh, no, how would I say this to my dad or my mother? And I said, look, if it's an issue, then I'd rather cut it off immediately. We're still talking. Nothing has happened. And then there was a lady that I met as well in 2012.
Sorry, all this time, where was it?
I didn't know. She wasn't in the picture. So, oh, I've seen her before, but I never mentioned anything to her. No. Well, I was asking questions about her, and that was it. So, actually, in 2011, I was playing football with my friends in Blanchardstown, the Astro in Coolmine. And there was a hole in the pitch, and I ran into the hole and I fractured my fibular bone. And I was in the hospital. I had to do, you know, I had to go through surgery and everything. And Esther was my physio.
And she was your physio.
She was my physio.
you. You're an engineer.
I was in a hospital after coming out of the surgery, and the group came, and then, you know, the anesthetic was still in my system. I couldn't see properly, and they told me that I had to get up. And the minute she walked in, I could see the whole team. And then I saw this, I was like, oh, no, this is the girl that I like. Oh my God. How am I going to stand up and how am I going to walk? Or how can I even say it to her when I'm on anesthetic? I was thinking, it's been the best time to say it. And later on, she'll think I'm crazy because I'm on anesthetic. So I was like, it's fine. I wouldn't say anything. And he said I have to get up and try and walk and see if I can use the crutches, you know. And then I tried standing. And I couldn't see. It was blurry. Everywhere was actually blurry, but I could see him.
Hey!
It was just the yellowness. I don't
Leads the whole place. Yeah.
And you know, I just went back to the bed, and you know, I think it's the prayer too. Who knows? So after that, you know, I didn't see her for a while, and then she came. She actually came to youth fellowship when I came out of the hospital, and you know, I saw her and I would say, oh, how's everything? And she asked about how my leg was and everything. It's like, oh, it's feeling fine. It's better now.
So, which youth fellowship?
We usually have youth fellowship at our church every Sunday. So
Which hospital did you?
James Collins, Blanchester.
Which one?
James Collins, Blanchester.
Because it was doing the internship then.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I was wondering, didn't
Yeah.
remember you.
Yeah. I had to break my leg to see her, you know. So in 2012, there was a lady that I met. This was around May, June. And, you know, I would ask her questions, and she was talking about, you know, I asked her, if you were to give your all to God, you know, what would that be to you, or what does that mean to you? And the next thing she said was, she'll give 80% and then 20% in case she makes a mistake. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. I'd rather someone who gives 100, and if the mistake happened, at least we'll know the mistake happened. But not that you create room for mistakes, you know? And that kind of scared me. And she was talking about having children and starting a family, and I was like, oh, slow down. I still have a long way to go, you know? And then, so I just told her that it wouldn't work, you know, will it work? So we just cut it off, and in September I was at my friend's house, Herman, and I was discussing with Herman, and I said to him that, look, there's this girl that I've liked for so long, and it's hard to see her, but I usually see her sister. Like, do I tell her sister that I need to see her sister or something? I said, who is this lady? I said, her name is Esther, and he's like, oh, Esther, I know her. He's French, so, and he's like, I have a number. I was like, you have a number? How did you get a number? He said, you know, he just said, oh, all the French people, French connection, we all know each other. I said, okay, no problem. And so he picked my phone and he called her. I said, no, don't do that. It's very, very dodgy. I don't like stuff like that. He just picked my phone and he called her. And Esther was on the phone, and I was like, oh no, don't do that. And then he's like, oh Esther, this is Sodiq and this and that. And he started speaking and started saying some things like, oh, what are you doing on Friday? And then I quickly grabbed the phone. I was like, no, don't do that, don't do that. So I spoke to Esther and I was like, Esther, how are you? Don't mind Herman, this is Sodiq speaking. And she's like, oh, okay, so who is who? I was like, no, this is Sodiq. And I said, by the way, what are you doing on Friday? And she said, she's free on Friday. I was like, okay, would you like to meet in Blanche? Yeah, I'd like to meet up with you and we can discuss. But prior to that, I think it was a couple of months before, I was in the library in Blanchester with my auntie, Auntie BC. She wanted me to print her CV for her and make a couple of adjustments. and I saw Esther in the library studying. And I saw her from far away, my heart started beating fast. I said, no, not again. So, and BC was there on the computer and she screamed, you know, we all have one of those aunties that do Yoruba and you just scream in the library. Sodiq, I didn't come here because of one girl. Come and type this thing. I was like, oh no, this is embarrassing. God. And now she's going to think I have one weird auntie or something like that, you know? But she, you know, she continued studying and then I said, Auntie, just give me 5 minutes. That girl did not go away again. So I went to Esther, we started having our own conversation and, you know, a couple of discussions. And then next thing, the business screamed again, Sodiq, 5 minutes is up. Come on. So I was like, don't worry, I'll talk to you another time, you know. And then the whole thing happened at Herman's house. So we met on that Friday, and we went to a restaurant in Blanchardstown. We had a couple of discussions, well, so long. And, you know, Esther can talk. And you didn't hear that, right?
No, I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay, that's good. So we had the discussion, she cracked a couple of jokes about auto glass, and then I was doing my my final year project, and we had to manufacture, I had to manufacture a ceramic bone to substitute a crushed bone. Say for instance someone's in an accident and they had you know, the bone was crushed in an accident, so we tried to use different material to substitute the bone that was crushed. So I mentioned to her that if a glass is showing a sign of crack in the middle of it, what do you do? And then next thing she's like, what's the point of wasting your time? Just call auto glass repair. You know, I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny because and you know, we continued to have discussion and it was wonderful. And you know, that day was the first night she was in my car. And I had to drop her at the church here as well. So, and then we had this discussion about, okay, if someone likes you, what is the procedure? And then the next thing she's like, oh, you have to go and meet my pastor. And that. Typical. And then the next thing I was like, okay, fine, I'll come and meet your pastor one day. So I came to the church one day. And I spoke to Pastor Daniel and, you know, I said, I want to speak to you about one of the girls from church. And he's like, who? I said, Ebulu. I was like, oh, okay. All right, that's fine. And then he said, give me your number, I'll call you. I didn't receive any phone call. I was like, okay, maybe this pastor doesn't like me. Or, you know. And another time I came to the church again, I mentioned the same thing to him. He said he would call. He didn't call. I'm busy too. That's true.
You're busy too, man.
Yeah. So I said it to him. I mean, I'm busy running around to get her number and all these things. So I spoke to the pastor a few times. I didn't get any return. I was like, oh, well, I'll just carry on. You know, there's nothing I can do. I tried my possible best. He seems not to remember. So that's how I carried on. And for me, her parents, to speak to her parents was more important to me. Well, as well as the pastor too. But it seems like the pastor is running away, so I'll bring it to the parents, you know. So I would speak to her dad once in a while, and, you know, the mother gave me a couple of tricks to, you know, say some things to the father as well. And, you know, I said some things to the father. But before I could even speak to the father, my goodness, we had to go through some Bible quiz and everything. She was talking about her not being convinced yet and this and that, you know, similar to our mommy. So she'll ask me questions in the Bible and I'll give the answer and respond immediately sometimes. And then she'll ask me some questions and I'm like, this one is tricky. Where in the Bible? So I'll quickly go into Google. But I mentioned it to her. I said, look, I found the answer here and this and that and that and that. But it was a learning process for me too, as well as her, you know. So, and from there we just discuss things and, you know, what are her future plans, what are the things that she wants to do, and, you know, those things were very important to me. And basically, that's how we met. And,
That's how you were convinced that that's the
well,
Let's hear from
how I was convinced was the prayer that I prayed and I was seeing results. And, you know, well,
I understand that. You saw her in the hospital, you saw her in the library, you dropped her in the church.
yeah.
You've seen her more than enough.
Let's hear from Ebun. Hello, Esther.
Hello, hi everyone.
How are you?
So what's your own version of the story?
I'll tell the story. So before I go on, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for the honor and even the fact that you still set up the Skype for me. I feel really honored, so thank you very much.
We love you,
You're one of us.
So his version of the story is mostly accurate, but
It's always
well,
something.
I suppose that's from his point of view. For me, I didn't really know him that 2009, 2010. I think the first time I ever came across him was when he did a collaboration with Akin for one of Akin's songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I saw a Muslim name and he was thinking about Jesus. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And that was it. But then I think I went to their church for their Valentine's ball a couple of times. And then I saw him. I didn't really say anything to him until I was on my placement and I was told to go look at some charts for somebody. And I was like, oh, okay, a young Nigerian guy, 24-year-old, fractured his ankle. And then I walked into the room, didn't realize it was this Sodiq that I'd seen around. So, yeah, I think that day he couldn't really walk much. He was quite dizzy, and I just kind of didn't really think much about it. I see him once in a while. Actually, I hardly saw him. But I remember in 2012, random people kept asking me if I was single, and I was like, why are they asking me? And now it's the connection that they're all friends with Sadiq. So they were asking, well, one day actually, I was going for a Just Girls meeting, and I bumped into the same person twice, and that person is actually Sadiq's friend. So I think we were discussing about church and going to youth meeting, to Sadiq's church youth meeting, etc. I didn't know that that was going to be the same friend who would pretend to be Sadiq and call me later on. But
I didn't ask him to do it.
It just happened in the space of 2 weeks that two people were telling me that Sadiq liked me or whatever. So I think he was trying to get me to call Sadiq, and I was like, no. If he wants to talk to me, he'll call me himself, and etc. So anyway, I think that year as well, there'd been a few people who had kind of been asking me out, and I was kind of like, no, I'm going to say no to everybody this year. I'm not ready for a relationship, and whatever. So when he called me, I actually don't know what to say yes. I was actually planning to say no. And then after I said yes to meet up with him, I'd already planned out my dialogue of how to be like, okay, yeah, so it was really nice meeting up with you, but I don't want a relationship or anything. And then I never really got to say that. But what I did say to him was, that I wanted us to be friends first, to get to know him better as a person, and obviously pray about it first. So I would say that, I didn't really see him that way first. I had to get to know him first of all and pray about it. But I do know that over time, as I got to know Sadiq, I got to know that he's a really wonderful person. My goodness, he's got such a...
Lonnie is serious.
He's got such a good heart. And I know he mentioned the part of me saying I wasn't convinced. I think it took me a while to actually make up my mind. So at first I'd be like, well, let's pray about it some more, or let me think about it some more, let's just be friends, and etc. But I think over time it got to a point where I think one time I was going to work and I was thinking to myself, I think I was praying, I was like, God, if it's not going to be Sadiq, and the person it's going to be exactly like him. And I think that's when I knew that, I was going to spend the rest of my life with him, I guess. So he's been such a great friend. He's very supportive. Back when he saw me in the library, then I'd finished my first degree, and I had my eyes on a second degree. So when I told him, I said, "Oh, look, I'm planning to study medicine. I want to, go back to college." Like, so even before I even wrote my gap, Sadiq used to call me doctor. He used to call me doc. So it just shows how much he believed in me, Yeah, it was. Sometimes I even almost wanted to don't say that in front of his friends because they have my expectations, But he would call me doc. Anytime I needed anything, he would help me out. He would encourage me, and no, great. So I kind of summarized it because Sadiq spoke for a while. If you have any questions to ask.
Okay, so.
Yeah, you put it all in one thing, and I really asked.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I want to ask Ebun. Ebun.
Hello.
Yeah, the one that should be asking. You're married.
Because I know some people here have the same question, but they are shy. They don't want to ask. That's why I'm your.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Ebun. Hello? Okay, good. You said something that, there were others, maybe one or two, maybe more than two, who were showing interest. So at what point did you make your eyes single and was no longer listening to any other person? At what point did you get the boldness to just stand and say, this is where I'm going?
Okay, so this is it. For the others, it was very easy to just be like, no, I'm not interested. I just, want to be friends and everything. When I first started talking to Sadiq, because we weren't a couple, I'd already told him we're just friends, and I was getting to know him. But even in the getting to know him, I was trying to limit getting involved with other people as such, because I was trying to be a one person at a time kind of person. So I think from then on, even though it wasn't official, I wasn't really, allowing other people, to have that kind of relationship. So I think for me it was more like one person at a time, and if I feel the go ahead or I feel the need to back off, then I'll know to back off and then focus on another person. But having said that, much early on as well, there was another person who was showing interest, and I had to keep the distance from that person as well. Obviously, I don't mean shut the person out completely. We still talked, and I still got to know the person, but I just made sure I didn't get too close, from that point onwards.
Okay, so it's immediately Sadiq came in that you closed the door to others, even though you didn't make the closure of that other guy, very official or formal, but you already know that it's not the one. The reason why I'm this, because this is very, very important. And thank you, Ebun, because many people mix things up at that point, that you already know where you are going. Then why toying with others, who you are going nowhere with them? And that's one of the big problem that we have in the world, but it's actually very rampant in the church now. Once you know that you have already, seen somebody that you want to be committed to, not really that you are sure that this person is going to be your husband or your wife, but you just already want to be committed to this person. You want to, how do I put it now?
Give it a try.
Yeah, you want to check this person out, as it were, So that's just being realistic. You want to check this person out very well. I think it's always good that you let people know where you stand. Because at the end of the day, when you are now declaring, then you will see war. People will say, boys used to fight those days. In the days where there is no civility, we are more civil here. But even it's not going to be a physical fight, but there will still be some, throwing of fireworks. Somehow, So it's always good. That's just the reality. It's good for you whether you are a guy and then you have seen one of the sisters now that you just feel you want to have something. Let's know where you stand. That's why I made it very free. That once you are 20, you should be friends with one another. There's nobody that is going to say, why is Shegun a friend to Nike? I'm just talking, I don't know. Nobody is going to raise an eyebrow at that because you are both 20s, So, but in the meantime, when that is, that it's not just friend of 20s on fire. It is a friend that is already, going into some realm. At that point, identify, let people know that she's your friend, he is your friend, so that others will still wait in the wing. Not that, yes. So that others who are interested will have no choice but to wait in the wings. Yeah, that's what it means. They have to wait in the wings. But if you begin to play with this and play with that, at the end of the day, you'll see that there will be trouble modeling up of the water. So I really love that. That's why I was digging into that aspect. That at what point did you draw the line with others? And I love the way you played that card. It was a good one. Thank you.
I just want to apologize. We're running a little bit late behind
They didn't
time.
come on time.
It's 9. Well, I'm really sorry. So yeah.
So my last question, what are the attributes that you see in Sodiq that you are still seeing now that get you attracted to him? Sort of the things that you like, the attributes in him.
Professor.
Okay.
I know you said about the good part.
Okay. The things I like about him is the fact that I can be myself around him, and I feel very comfortable. I find that I became friends with Sadiq very quickly, and I found that in the early part of it, when we started to be friends, I found myself being very open and comfortable with him. I remember thinking to myself that, oh my God, there's some things I'm telling him that even my best friend, I wouldn't readily tell her. Wow. But because he was very non-judgmental, very, accepting and just being a good friend generally, I like the fact that she's very loyal. Sadiq would, stand for you. Sadiq is also very, very generous, and I'm not talking about necessarily generous to me. I've seen him being generous to other people. Like, I've seen him go out of his way. Like, he could be sleeping, and he will receive a call from somebody, and then he will say, oh, I got a call at 5 o'clock, I have to come from the airport. That kind of person that no matter what you need at any time of the day, if you call him, he will help you out. And he's very moved to help other people. I think he's just generally very moved to help people, regardless of how much he has on him. So for me, it's like a lesson in generosity. Like, I learned so much in terms of generosity from him. And then I think with him, I like honesty, because sometimes I tend to be like, oh, well, I might hurt this person's feelings, but for you to just be like, you have to be honest and just say the truth as it is. So those are certain characters that I like in him that I feel make him more endearing, if that's the correct word, and make me want to learn more from him.
Wow, great.
So that's it.
Thank you so much, Sodiq and Ebun. So we're going to take you off the hot seat. Ebun, you can still stay on Skype. So we're going to ask our next guest